A woman will never walk up to you and say, "Hey, I'm attracted to you. Please make a move." That's not how it works. Instead, she'll do something far more subtle. She'll touch something. And if you don't know what that something is, congratulations. You just missed your shot, and she's already moved on to the guy who actually pays attention. Here's the part that's going to sting a little. Over 90% of emotional communication between two people happens without a single word being spoken. Let that sink in for a second. That means the most important conversation she's having with you right now isn't coming out of her mouth. It's happening through her body, through her hands, through the subtle, almost invisible signals most men never even notice. And before we go any further, I want you to do something simple but powerful. If you've ever felt confused around women, if you've ever walked away from an interaction thinking, was she interested or was I imagining it? Then go ahead and like this video, because what you're about to learn might completely change the way you read attraction forever. And I want to ask you something honestly. How many times do you think you've missed a moment like that? Hi, I'm Sarah Jones, and today I'm going to show you something most men go their entire lives without ever understanding. Not because it's hidden, but because no one ever taught you how to see it. You see, as a woman, I can tell you something that might surprise you. We are not nearly as mysterious as men think. In fact, we give away an overwhelming amount of information constantly. Through the way we move, the way we sit, the way our hands behave when we're around someone we're drawn to. The real problem isn't that women are hard to read, it's that you were never taught the language. And once you learn that language, you can't unsee it. What I'm about to share with you isn't recycled dating advice or surface-level tips. This is grounded in real behavioral psychology, years of observation, and patterns that show up again and again in human interaction. But more than that, it's real, it's honest. And yes, I've personally caught myself doing many of these things, without even realizing it in the moment. Now here's something important. The last signal I'm going to share later, it's the one most men get completely wrong. It doesn't even look like attraction. In fact, many men misread it as boredom. But in reality, it can mean she's already emotionally leaning toward you in a way you didn't even consider. So stay with me. Let's begin with something you've probably noticed before, but never truly understood. When a woman is attracted to you, one of the first places her hands go is her hair. Now I know what you're thinking. That's obvious, right? Everyone knows that. But here's what most people miss: the difference between habit and intention. Picture this: you're talking to a woman and she casually brushes her hair aside once because it's in her face. That's normal, that's functional, that's not about you. But now imagine something different. You're standing there having a conversation, and she starts playing with her hair, twisting it around her finger, letting it fall over one shoulder, tucking it behind her ear, only to bring it forward again, and she keeps doing it. That's not random, that's energy. Attraction creates a very specific kind of internal response. It increases nervous energy, it heightens awareness, and the hands, they need somewhere to go. Hair becomes one of the easiest, most instinctive outlets. And here's something even more interesting. When a woman exposes her neck while doing this, when she moves her hair intentionally to one side, it's not just about looking good. It's about vulnerability. The neck is one of the most sensitive, unprotected areas of the body. So when she subtly draws attention to it, she's signaling trust, not consciously, but powerfully. And I want you to think about this for a moment. Have you ever been in a conversation where a woman seemed slightly different around you? Maybe a little more aware of herself, a little more animated. And now that you think back, was she touching her hair? This is where things start to shift for you. Because once you begin noticing these patterns, interactions stop feeling random. They start making sense, and then we move deeper. When a woman lightly touches her neck or runs her fingers along her collarbone while speaking to you, something very specific is happening beneath the surface. It's not just a gesture, it's a signal layered with meaning. The neck, as I mentioned, represents vulnerability, but when it's touched slowly, gently, it also becomes a focal point. It draws your eyes, it creates a moment of softness, of openness. And here's the truth most men don't hear. When a woman feels safe around you, her body relaxes. And when her body relaxes, these gestures start appearing naturally. Not because she's trying to impress you, but because her guard is lowering. And that matters, because attraction without comfort doesn't last. But attraction with comfort, that's where connection begins. I remember a moment from my own life, sitting across from someone during a simple conversation, nothing extraordinary. But I caught myself absent-mindedly touching my neck while listening to him speak. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't trying to send a signal. But my body already knew something my mind hadn't fully processed yet, that I was drawn to him. That's how subtle this is, and that's why most men miss it. Now let's take it one step further. Because when a woman starts touching her lips, lightly pressing a finger against them, biting her lower lip, or slowly applying lip balm while maintaining eye contact, this is no longer subtle curiosity. This is focused attention. The lips are one of the most visually and emotionally significant parts of the face. They're associated with expression, intimacy, and connection. And when a woman draws attention to them, intentionally or not, she's amplifying that awareness. Think about it. Why do you think lip products exist in so many colors, textures, and finishes? Because lips naturally draw attention, and when that attention is guided, it becomes even more powerful. So when she touches her lips while looking at you, she's not just adjusting something, she's creating a moment. And moments like that, they're not accidental. Now here's where things get even more interesting, and where most men completely lose the thread. Because the next signal doesn't look like attraction at first glance, it looks like nervousness. When a woman starts fidgeting with her jewelry, playing with a necklace, spinning a ring, adjusting an earring, it might seem like she's distracted or uncomfortable. But that's not the full picture. This is what psychologists call a displacement behavior. It happens when emotional energy builds up inside the body and needs an outlet. Excitement, anticipation, attraction. They all create internal tension. And the hands, they respond. Jewelry becomes a tool, something to touch, something to anchor that energy. But here's the key. If she's doing this while engaged with you, while maintaining eye contact, while smiling, while staying present in the conversation, that nervous energy isn't discomfort. It's activation. It's your presence affecting her. And I want you to pause here for a second. Think back to any interaction you've had where a woman seemed slightly restless, but still deeply engaged with you. Maybe she was playing with something, adjusting something, keeping her hands busy. What if that wasn't disinterest? What if that was attraction, trying to find a place to go? This is where your awareness becomes your advantage, because most men see these signals and misinterpret them, or worse, ignore them entirely. But not you, not anymore. And in the next part, we're going to move from these subtle, self-directed signals into something far more undeniable. Because when a woman crosses the line from touching herself to touching you, everything changes. Now we step into a completely different level of communication, because everything we've talked about so far, it's been indirect. It's been her body speaking to itself while you happen to be there. But when a woman reaches out and touches you, that's no longer indirect. That's intentional. And I need you to understand just how significant that moment is. When a woman touches your arm, your shoulder, your hand, even briefly during a conversation, she is crossing an invisible boundary that most people don't cross unless there's a reason. Physical touch, especially in early interaction, carries weight. It's not casual the way men often assume it is. It's deliberate, it's testing, and sometimes it's an invitation. Imagine you're sitting across from her, talking about something simple. Maybe a story, maybe a joke. You say something and she laughs, and then her hand reaches out and lightly touches your arm, just for a second. But that second matters. Because in that moment, she's doing two things at once. She's expressing connection, and she's measuring your response. Do you notice it? Do you respond to it? Do you lean in, or do you freeze? And here's where most men make a critical mistake. They either completely ignore the touch, pretending it didn't happen, or they panic internally and shut down externally. And from her perspective, that feels like rejection. I want you to picture it from her side for a moment. She just took a small risk. She broke a barrier. She reached out to you in a way that wasn't necessary, but meaningful. And instead of meeting her halfway, you gave her nothing. No reaction, no warmth, no acknowledgement. It's like throwing a ball to someone and watching it hit their chest and drop to the ground. No catch, no connection, just silence. And that silence, it speaks loudly. So what should you do instead? You don't need to overthink it. You don't need some complicated move. You simply acknowledge the moment, a smile, a slight lean forward, maybe even a gentle, natural return of that touch later in the interaction. You meet her energy. That's it. Because when she touches you, she's already taken a step toward you, and all she's waiting to see is whether you're willing to take one back. Now let's move into something even more subtle and surprisingly powerful. This is the kind of signal that once you see it, you'll never unsee it again. Picture this. You're sitting across from a woman at a cafe, or maybe at a bar. There's a glass in front of her, a coffee cup, a wine glass, something simple. And while you're talking, she starts running her finger along the rim of the glass, slowly, gently, almost absent-mindedly. Or maybe she traces the edge of her cup, or slides her finger up and down the stem of her glass while maintaining eye contact with you. At first glance, it seems meaningless, just a random movement, but it's not. What you're seeing is her channeling physical energy into an object, because that energy, if the situation were different, would be directed toward you. This is what makes it so fascinating. The object becomes a substitute, a stand-in. Her hands are expressing something her body isn't ready to express directly, yet. And here's where I want to ask you something important. Have you ever been in a moment like that, where everything felt calm on the surface, but there was an underlying tension you couldn't quite explain? A kind of quiet intensity? That's often what this looks like. Because attraction doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers, and this is one of those whispers. Now let's go deeper into something that's often misunderstood, even dismissed. When a woman starts adjusting her clothing in front of you, straightening her top, smoothing her dress, fixing her sleeve, checking how everything sits, most men assume it's just habit, or worse, insecurity. But what's actually happening here is something much older than modern behavior. It's called preening, and it exists across species. In the animal world, preening is what happens when a creature prepares itself in the presence of a potential mate. It's about presentation, about putting forward the best possible version of oneself. And humans, we're not as different as we like to think. When a woman becomes aware of your presence, and especially when she feels attracted to you, her attention shifts inward for a moment. She becomes conscious of how she looks, specifically through your eyes, not everyone's eyes, yours. And that distinction matters, because if she was already adjusting herself before you entered the picture, that's just routine, that's normal. But if it starts after she notices you, or while she's talking to you, that's targeted, that's intentional, that's her saying without words, I care how I appear to you. And that level of awareness doesn't come from nowhere, it comes from interest. Now I want you to take a second and really reflect on this. How often have you seen a woman adjust something, her sleeve, her hair, her posture, while interacting with you, and you brushed it off as nothing? How many signals have passed right in front of you, unnoticed? This is why awareness changes everything. Because the difference between a missed opportunity and a meaningful connection is often just one moment of recognition. And now we arrive at something even more layered. Because up until now, these signals have been about attraction building, energy rising, connection forming. But what happens when that energy becomes comfort? When she stops managing it and starts settling into it? That's where the next signal lives, and it's the one most men misinterpret completely. But before we go there, I want you to do something with me. If you're starting to see patterns in your own experiences, if moments from your past are suddenly making more sense, drop a comment below and tell me which signal surprised you the most so far. Because I promise you, what's coming next is going to reframe everything. And if you're finding this valuable, this is exactly the kind of deep, psychology-driven insight we explore on the female signals. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Because understanding attraction isn't about guessing, it's about seeing clearly. And right now, you're starting to see. Now we're going to uncover the final signal, the one that looks like disinterest, but often means the exact opposite. And once you understand it, you'll never misread that moment again. Now we come to the signal that changes everything, the one most men get completely wrong. The one that has quietly ruined more potential connections than almost anything else. When a woman rests her chin on her hand, when she gently cradles her face, when her fingers sit softly along her cheek while she looks at you, most men assume one thing. She's bored, she's losing interest, she's checking out of the conversation. But that interpretation, it's usually completely wrong. What you're actually seeing is something called facial framing. And it's one of the most intimate, unconscious signals of attraction a woman can display. Because when she frames her face with her hands, she's doing something very specific. She's drawing your attention directly to her expressions, her eyes, her lips, her reactions to you. She's inviting you to look at her more closely, not casually, but intentionally. And here's the deeper layer most people never talk about. This gesture only shows up when she feels comfortable, when her guard is down, when she's no longer managing her body language, but simply existing in the moment with you. That's not boredom. That's emotional presence. And there's a quiet vulnerability in that. Think about it. When someone feels disconnected, they withdraw. They look away. They create distance. But when a woman is resting her chin in her hand, eyes locked on yours, softly smiling as you speak, she's not withdrawing. She's leaning in, emotionally. And maybe, just maybe, you've experienced this before. A moment where the conversation slowed down, where everything felt calm, but deeply focused, where she was just looking at you, listening, present in a way that felt different. And you didn't know what to do with it, so you assumed the worst. You told yourself she was bored, and you pulled back. That moment, that was your opportunity, and it slipped away, not because it wasn't there, but because you didn't recognize it. Now here's the truth I want you to walk away with. Not a single one of these signals we've talked about involves words, not one. Because attraction doesn't start with language. It starts with energy, with presence, with the subtle ways the body responds when it feels something real. A woman might tell you she's just being friendly. She might keep her words neutral. She might not say anything at all. But her body tells the truth, always. Through her hands, through her movements, through the small unconscious gestures that reveal what she feels before she ever puts it into words. And now, you can see them. Now you can recognize the difference between politeness and genuine interest, between habit and intention, between surface-level interaction and something deeper beginning to form. But here's where I need to ground you for a moment. This knowledge isn't about manipulation. It's not about assuming every gesture means attraction. And it's definitely not about forcing a moment that isn't there. It's about awareness. It's about paying attention. It's about being present enough to notice and confident enough to respond naturally when the moment is real. Because when you do that, something shifts. You stop second-guessing, you stop overthinking, and you start connecting in a way that feels effortless because it's aligned. So the next time you're talking to a woman and you notice her playing with her hair, touching her neck, fidgeting with her jewelry, lightly touching your arm, tracing the rim of her glass, adjusting her clothes, or resting her chin in her hand while she looks at you, don't freeze, don't ignore it, don't talk yourself out of what you're seeing. Recognize it, feel it, and meet her there, because in that moment, she's already halfway across the bridge toward you. All you have to do is take one step forward. And if you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Which one of these signals have you completely misunderstood in the past? Drop it in the comments, because your experience might help someone else finally see what they've been missing. And if you want to go even deeper into understanding what women feel but rarely say out loud, make sure you're subscribed to the Female Signals, because this is just the beginning. There's a whole world of unspoken communication, and once you learn how to read it, everything changes.